Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so grateful for myself, first and foremost, for doing this, having the courage and the time to do this um, through the progression of the steps. But let me not get ahead of myself. Today is the very last day of what is Corporate Detox. Now, I am on both streams right now. I am on LinkedIn and I am on YouTube right now. I've said this the past 2 days. This is very tricky with Mercury retrograde, me being a Gemini, and just how things can move very fast or have these technical difficulties. But I am so grateful and blessed that I haven't had any. No hiccups here. So let's recap, okay? For those that don't know me, that are tuning in to this very first day, you are at the last step out of 3 steps that we talked about in Corporate Detox. I created a guide called the Corporate Detox to really help people figure out the steps on tapping back into their passions and getting paid for their passions so they can start reviving their energy, right? Recovering from burnout, because corporate will burn you out, okay? If you don't know, maybe you're at your dream job, but this is talking about the people that are really lacking energy and disconnecting with their soul and feel like they are stuck in a situation that is almost like forced to make money for something that they don't aren't passionate about anymore, or just never was passionate about, right? But now we're redirecting our passions and detoxing from the hustle culture, the corporate culture, and really stepping into shining our light and working towards people that see our values. And as we start gaining and receiving that profit, that income from working with our passions, then we now can actually lay the blueprint, right? The groundwork on transitioning out of corporate into stepping into full-time, a business owner, right? So for those that don't know me, my name is Koi. I have a YouTube channel that talks about spiritual entrepreneurship, and I help women step out of corporate and step into business full time. I worked with a lot of startup companies. I've been a brand developer, graphic designer, right? And I've also been a massage therapist and Reiki practitioner. And I've bounced around those worlds for a long time. And in between that time, I bounced around at low paying jobs, right? Cashier positions, retail, not office management, front desk, things like that, where it just never really was my passion, but I did it because, well, I know how to balance the two, or at least I thought I did. And I did it because I needed money, okay? I needed the money. But this is why, this sparked me, because let's talk about this corporate detox. It really came to me when, I realized I've been on this entrepreneur journey for 10 years, and I was still holding on to certain things from the beginning of the journey, right? I left my journey My journey started within my first corporate job that I had. And, I wound up doing freelance and all these other things that I was talking about. But let's get into the corporate detox. So the first day we talked about who I was, the 3 steps. The 3 steps are: step 1, doing that inner work, checking within and looking at yourself, figuring out your passions, why your passions dimmed. Why do you want this job? What is your why, right? And how I like to connect with that Queen of Wands energy, because I work my own magic. I work my creativity to create the business that I dream of, right? But I can't really do that if my battery is burned out. I can't. So how I recharge myself not only is recharging it through the chakras, which is step 2, is checking in with our energy. I recharge it by journaling and just doing a lot more internal work, right? Bouncing between step 1 and step 2, the inner work and checking with our creativity. So day 2, we spoke about the chakra system, how I use the chakra system to look within myself, to gain more self-awareness and to recharge my energy. In step 3, we are talking about tonight, well, today, this afternoon, right? We're talking about creating your special offer, okay? So let's get into this. Where are we at on LinkedIn here? Okay, cool. Let's see. For anyone that wants some captions that may be in their cubicle or whatnot. I've been talking this whole time on LinkedIn on mute. Oh, goodness gracious. Anyway, you're going to catch up to speed. This is the Mercury retrograde stuff that I'm talking about. But anyway, we're going to keep it going. YouTube, you hear me. Replay watchers, I want to thank you for watching the replay. I want to tell you in advance, if you have any questions, go back to step 2, right? So you can hear about the chakras and checking with your energy, and go back to step 1 so you can hear about some of the journal prompts and why it's important to look within first before you start looking out and asking for help, right? And if you haven't already, please download the guide so you can actually understand more on what I'm talking about, and so you can look at, right? And for those that are here watching and listening to me now, I hope that you do have the free download PDF so you can actually look along with me, okay? So let's talk about creating your unique offer, okay? So one of the main reasons why people don't start their business is because a plethora of things, right? But we're going to talk about because they think they have to put out so much money in the beginning. Startup companies, you do have to put out to gain, right? To receive, but there's a way about going about it. Right. And strategy is the main thing. When I talk about brand development, right, I'm talking about brand identity, understanding and identifying your niche, understanding and identifying who you're speaking to, right? And we're also talking about brand strategy, which is now implementing, understanding the resources and the research that you did or just know, right? And how are we implementing this? And that's what marketing basically essentially is how are you connecting with other people, with a certain type of people, and how are you promoting it? How are you speaking that information to other people, right? Because you want to talk to people that understand what you're talking about and that actually need what you're talking about. Because for me, I'm a designer. I do know about marketing, right? But that was never my forte because the design was always something that was just a part of my essence. The marketing, I didn't really study. It was more of an experience through life and my skills of graphic design that I learned marketing. And now that we're in the day and age of technology, full throttle, right? It's like, how do we still connect? Because connecting with people is something that I know how to do, but with the screen here, it can get a little complicated, right? But it's really not. It's just a mindset that we kind of think about. I'm a little thirsty today. So, besides being confused, right? I want y'all to think simple. Not to discredit your big goals, but if you're at a job that you can't stand, 9 times out of 10, you're feeling forced. And if you're feeling forced to do something, against your will, right? Or maybe not against your will. That's going to drain your energy, right? And it's going to put distractions and blocks in front of you from doing what you truly love, because now it's like the mind and the heart is just like not talking, right? We don't need that. And a lot of times when you're feeling crazy or just feeling out of it, a lot of times it's because the heart and the mind are saying two totally different things. One is speaking Spanish, the other is speaking Chinese, and they are not in coherence with the communication. Communication can happen the same way with your audience. For a long time, y'all, I wanted everybody to come. I wanted to bring everybody. And I'm like, this is for everybody. And my services still to this day are for everybody. But when you're in the startup phase, and there are multiple phases to startup, right? And for me, I've been in startup for a long time because you know why? I have this gift of, if it's not working, I'm going to keep going. And then I wind up getting drained, back at burnout. And then I'm like, something's not working. And then I finally realized I needed to rebrand because my vision, my values, and my beliefs, right? My identity was changing within me. And I said, you know what? My business has to identify with something different as well. I need to speak to the people that understand my language and that actually need my services. Because a lot of times people, just like healing, if you're not looking for healing or you feel that you don't need to heal, somebody can talk to you all day, every day about healing. You can feel the healing vibes from the person even, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you believe that you need the healing, right? So let's talk about this, right? So you want something that's simple and connects with your passions first and foremost. Before you start looking out, you have to look from within, step one, right? And if you're totally zapped and unsure of what your passions are, this is where step one really helps, because again, at the guide, the PDF guide that I have, there are about 10 questions that can really start grinding those gears and start helping you understand, like, oh yeah, I do used to like going outside and frolicking through the forest or whatever, right? Or I do like working with kids, you know? I do like working in nature. Something. What are your likes? What makes you happy? Not other people happy. What makes you happy? There's a difference between a business and a true, authentic brand. The business is all about the money. The brand is all about the connections, which in turn receives money because they're tapping in with their passions. You can't go wrong with tapping in and really doing something you love, because you're tapping into that abundance energy and you're tapping into receiving and that pleasure that we're all here for. That's our birthright, not doing things that we hate. And then when you get on the other side of that spectrum, you start realizing, okay, this is what's happening. And when you're in that sweet spot in the middle, that's where you find the balance between the two. Okay, so when you simplify things, you can start getting paid with an offer that costs you little to nothing. And as I call it, free 99. Okay. So this is why I talk about digital offers. Digital offers speak on the internet, right? This is something that you can do and utilize technology to work for you. Now, I know some people are like, I'm not tech savvy, blah, blah, blah. I understand that. This is where I come in and help you, right? But this is also where you get to do some research, because there are so many apps out here that are simple, easy to use. There are so much technology that are made for specific people. And you can start small. Like for instance, Wix, I'm big on Wix. I'm not promoting for them, but I've used Wix throughout my 10 years of entrepreneurship, and I've seen their growth. Because I can tell you, I remember when I first made my first website with Wix, I did not like it. They didn't have certain things that I needed for my website and needed as a designer. to connect with my audience, right? I called them multiple times on customer service. A few times I cursed them out. And I remember asking them, like, I want my money back, because it was certain things, I can't really remember particulars, but like, I do remember they've always said free website, right? And that was one thing that I did like. I got to design my website for free and still keep it up, right? But the only thing was, I wanted a domain name, a website name, right? That was all mine, not www.wix.com/whatever, right? Now at this stage in my life, I can give two about it saying my name, because you know why? I know that I have a process that is a creative process unique to mine, that allows me to understand and trust and align with my intuition and say, okay, I'm satisfied. I know what this is. I'm happy with these results. This is what it's going to be. Because back then I had a list of names, right? And then I wasn't truly trusting myself. So then I'm like, oh no, let's call it this. Oh no, let's change it to this, right? And I think that if you're in that spot of not really knowing what you need, then cool. Wix.com/whatever is great for you, because now you didn't really pay for a domain name. Once you pay for that domain name, you can't change it. You cannot pay for it. You can cancel it, right? And pay for another one. But paying for a domain name is like paying for a birth certificate for your child. Like, can't really change it. You kind of can, but there's only a grace period where you're going to have to pay for another one, right? To be recertified. So let's see where I'm at. Is there anybody in the chats here that wants to talk? Anybody showing up, asking questions? No? Well, I really love to be interactive, y'all. So please, this is the time that you can utilize and ask me questions right now so I can, answer them for you. But if not, people watching the replay, definitely comment below in the comments any questions that are coming up for you. I'd love to answer them. So let's get back to the unique offer, right? So digital offers, right? If you're not techie, you're not lost. You just have to think more simple. A lot of times the word techie and technology, to some people, it makes them think like, oh my God, the word complex, when really we don't need you to think like that, right? There was a time in my life where I couldn't stand, people used to be like, dumb it down. I'm like, no. Like, mind you, my first business was about female sneakerheads. I started off with t-shirts, but then I started thinking about all these things of how I wanted to connect with the creative mind and the women that are so creative, but are hiding their creativity because of XYZ, and how corporate and just the sneaker and fashion industry was so male dominant and somewhat slyly discouraging women and somewhat demeaning women in that industry. And I wanted to connect with all these people, right? But again, all these people, and I was in a startup phase and my words weren't really connecting. They were landing with some few people. But one of the biggest things for me is that I didn't have enough help and a team that can really move that mission and that word of what I was trying to carry out. And two, I was a little confused on what I was doing and where I wanted to start with what I was building, So again, it wasn't about dumbing it down. It was just about simplifying it. Because once you can simplify it, it's like putting one seed that winds up branching all these roots. And then literally like a tree, it branches out. A tree doesn't have one branch, right? It has multiple branches. So yeah. And also, right, coming up with a digital offer is really about finding your niche. So when we simplify it, we simple it down and we niche it down. And niching it down means really specifically talking to that unique audience, right? Talking to that special um, spot within yourself where you see your uniqueness and your talents. And then it's like, okay, who's going to get this? I don't care if it's 3 people. I'm going to speak to them. Because eventually those 3 people are going to get so hyped, they're going to tell other people and tell other people that tell other people. You get it? So, what are you good at, right? What have you done within your career span? I don't care if you worked at McDonald's. And I'm not trying to disgrade anybody that worked at any fast food joints, but it's like those are stepping stones, right? Because it's not about frying or microwaving a burger. It's about how do you work in a team, right? How do you receive criticism? Or how do you lead people? What's your time management like? How are you giving customer service to people that are unruly and, quite frankly, damn near rude as hell, right? How are you doing that? I've worked in Foot Locker, okay? And sometimes I've worked at Foot Locker when I was in high school and then actually when I was in college again. And it still is the same type of people that walk in there. I'm not going to go into those type of people, but how do you connect with all of that and your passions, right? And anything that you can think of, right? That's more than likely like anything that you can. It's almost like the saying, it's nothing new under the sun, right? People have done it before, but it's okay. How are you turning that into your own unique spark, right? Because when you start understanding your own passions, you start seeing your uniqueness about it. And if I'm creating sneakers, that like I'm not the first person that created sneakers, right? But how I create sneakers is a total different thing. Or how I present it to people is a total different, unique thing. I finally remember meeting somebody that actually implements chakras to their brand business. But one, it wasn't branding. It was more so, marketing is a part of branding, right? But I'm like more of the design head. She was more of the marketing, right? And needless to say, she had things that she was thinking about that I never thought about. And some of them I didn't want to do because I know what my lane is and I know where my passions are and I know what I'm good at, right? And we're doing very similar things, but we're 2 different people. She can't do it like me and I can't do it like her. And that's the bottom line here, right? When I'm speaking to artists, I know a lot of artists are like, they stole my stuff, da, 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 da. But in all actuality, they did not. They may have stole the idea, which is a hard thing to fight. But we do now in this day and age have intellectual property that help protect us, our ideas as artists, right? And I love that. And I'm going to be working with people, lawyers, and people that actually know those laws and find details about that. So if you don't know that, this is where I'm creating this safe space for. My allergies are bothering me. I'm sorry. So you're not inventing anything, but if you are, right? If you are that visionary and inventor, we got to talk patents, okay? Just saying. So let's get into the inspiration. These are some examples of digital offers, okay? Oh my gosh, y'all, my nose. Do I have tissue? And I can put this on pause. No, I don't. I'm going to keep it going. All right? So let's talk about these things. So ebooks, right? Ebooks, something that like writers, right? Or if you're just in the spirit of writing and you have this story you want to tell, you have it written down, it's typed up. Now you can actually create an ebook where it's like, here you go. People actually read online. They don't read in the book anymore. Hello. And you can create this for free. All right. Now, if you're buying or you're hiring a copywriter or someone that's looking over that, I don't know the names of that, but like there's people that actually coach you through writing a book and revising your stories and things like that. If you're hiring somebody like that, yes, you're going to actually have to put out money, but actually buying tangible books and having that stock of inventory, right? Or just like workbooks, right? I remember I bought some workbooks. I love tangible things, y'all. The cover felt very nice. The cover is just everything. Like I designed it and all these things, right? But I had some just laying around when I could have just had it online. But certain things you have to decipher, like, is this just online, right? I feel like looking back, I could have had it online first to get people to start seeing and understanding what it is. And then start creating an offer where you can actually have the book in hand, right? And now they actually know how to use the workbook, right? Taha. All right. So we have courses, podcasts, conferences, checklists, recipe books, right? If you love to create food, that is actually a lane, okay? Recipe books can easily be a digital offer first. Nutritional guidelines, exercise workouts. If you don't have a studio and you can't pay for the overhead fee, find a spot, do it outside. Do you have a camera, right? Some of these things you may need to prepare yourself for, but we do have things like iPhones, iPads, other things like that that actually doesn't have to be top tier things just to record and get the things out there, right? We don't need all that. But this is also too, if you know, like, stay in your lane. Like if you know you're not good with editing videos, but you really want videos, have the discernment to start where you're at first before you start chucking out the money. For me, I wanted to do videos so bad, y'all. I wanted to do videos so bad, but I didn't know how to do video editing. And I worked amongst these guys that were video editors, and I asked them a few tips. They couldn't really show me, and they weren't going to give me a course or anything, right? But I was so determined to wanting to learn how to do videos. I found out, I taught myself, right? And if you have something that you can teach, YouTube, since YouTube has been made, since when did YouTube come out? 2006? It was for teaching people to do things, not just other silly, crazy videos. It was for teaching people how to do things, and that's why it's almost like, I think it's the number 2 search engine. Search engine is the internet, how we type up things and look for things, right? So we have all these things here: content calendars, custom templates, software and apps, right? If you're a techie and you actually know how to create software or apps, and you don't want to work for a certain business, create that. Start that process. Have that there. Create your prototype. So then you know what you need help for next, those next steps. It's better to have something there and know what you need help with, to come up to somebody and be like, I need help doing all this stuff. Because if you need help doing all these things, people that really know their value and time of what their true talents are, it's going to cost you money, right? And because you don't know, it's like, all right, you're going to have to put out some bucks for somebody to do the work for you. Entrepreneurship is not about somebody doing the work for you. If you want that type of business, then go on Shark Tank, right? But even on Shark Tank, people are coming with a presentation and already knowing their numbers. They're already at the end phase of startup and looking to expand and scale their business. And that's why they're asking someone to partner with their business, okay? Because the last phase is really about growth for startup. And a lot of times people sell their business. I forget the actual terminology for that, right? Or they partner with another person. And that can make or break your business. You got to know for sure, because when you're actually asking for other people to put their hands and their ideas and their energy into yours, they're not necessarily going to see it from your perspective, right? So that's something that is another reason and benefit for knowing what you need help with. Because when you come to somebody and you know exactly what you need help with, it doesn't dissuade them, right? Or open the door for manipulation, or it doesn't, it just doesn't allow the confusion too. Because if you're not able to speak your needs, a lot of times someone could be willing, ready, and able to help you. But if you're not communicating in the areas that you need help with, then it's going to be kind of hard, right? So I have all these here. It's in the work in the guide where you can actually look that up, right? And if any of these pop out for you right now and you're like, oh, I do know how to do this, especially if there's something that's literally on your head, like, oh, I can do this with a breeze, right? I'm asking you, why aren't you doing that? Is it because you kind of don't like doing that, or what is that, right? And I'd love to like just get on a call and just talk with you, like a clarity call, a discovery call, to talk with you, because it's really about looking at things from a new perspective. You know, some things that we're really talented about or talented with, we don't really use those talents or deem those talents valuable because you don't really use them that much. And it could all be because of a bad experience that you may have had. It could be because maybe you weren't really validated in those talents, but you know for sure that you're talented in that aspect, right? It could be a multitude of things. It could just be like you had a bad experience with that talent and you kind of just made up your mind when that bad experience happened that you're never going to do this again. But in all actuality, you have a God-given talent that can help other people, right? So let me see if anybody has any questions. If not, we're going to wrap this on up. All right. And if you do have questions in the replay too, I'd love for you to go to this website here. You can find more information on how I help my clients, my people, my women that are really in a place at their job and their business and tired of juggling jobs or having this job that feels like a dead end and keeping you away and draining you from your true passions. I'm here to talk to you about it. I want to discuss, since I'm not seeing any comments, how I can support you and help you create a sustainable startup. Because startup is really where over 50% of people don't get to that growth phase. They usually fail and start over, or just say like, forget it. And I want to say that the people that deem the failure, because I know I deemed my failure, are the ones not seeing the lesson, right? There is a lesson in every failure. And that's why a lot of people, when they start up again, they got it because they remember the things that were like, oh, this didn't work. They remember their weaknesses. They remember their strengths, right? You know, like in business plans, there are reasons why you have SWOT, right? Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, right? My main services are helping women to recover from burnout, understand what burnout is and prevent that, right? Understand the root cause of this burnout and give the chakra healing to help boost that energy and recharge it, and as well as self-care rituals that can help you feel good about where you're going, feel supported, and know how to do your own self-healing. Because burnout is real. There's so many different levels, which I hope that if you are subscribed to my YouTube channel or my Instagram or LinkedIn, I'm going to be talking about different levels of burnout next. So if you're watching this and you're wondering, like, I don't really know about burnout, I just know that I'm tired all the time and I'm not sure if I'm depressed or physically tired or what, There's multiple levels to that. And I want to talk about that with you. So I have that, right? I also help with brainstorming, creative direction, right? Really, creative direction really allows you to utilize your ideas in the best way, shape, or form, and direct you in the guiding way, right? Like, let's take Main Street instead of these back streets. Or maybe we should take the scenic route before taking that Main Street and highlighting everything, right? There's a process, there's a strategy to everything, and I love to help people with that. And I also design things for people. I've designed my website. I've designed this, what you're looking at. I'm a designer. This is what I do. And you'll be able to get design services as well while working with me. And doing that inner work, because this is how I work. I can't really tell you my how I do it, but it's just a magical, intuitive way of how I work with people and really pull the talents to the forefront for people to see things. And we work together building an offer that can grow legs, and and you can direct it in whichever way you want. So if you're feeling the vibe, I'd love for you to book a discovery call with me and find out how my services can truly benefit you. If you're feeling that within your heart, you're feeling that spark as I'm speaking about these things, especially if you've been rocking with me from step one to today, like, I'd love to talk to you. There's no way, shape, or form a sales call. This is just a discovery call, figuring out where you're at right now and how I can help you, right? How I can help you. We can talk about what services there are, right? But in the time of the discovery call, I can help you with encouraging words that can help you actually see a different perspective of what's needed. What do you need to do? Not asking you how much money you have. Okay. So I just want to clarify that right now. And I don't want to deter you from speaking with me, because I know a lot of times people are like, oh, I don't have that money right now. And I've been there before too. I understand that. But just because you don't have the money right now does not mean that we can't connect. Okay. So there's other ways, like I said, there's other ways that we can connect, and there's other ways that I support people. I have something called the Queen of Wands that helps you, gives you all of this and then some for the working women that are looking for services that I give. Most importantly, I give a lot of resources here and inspiration, talk about things that I've been through, right? And I connect with, because I've had horrible, no, I don't want to say horrible, but I've had, my career. If there's any astrologists out here, when they look at my birth chart, they're like, oh, we see why you're having a hard time in your career path, because this was just written for me. But as I do these workshops, like getting the replay, you're not going to be able to get certain replays. But if you're a member of the Queen of Wands Club, you'll be able to get the replay every time. Certain workshops, courses, you'll see first hands on deck, discounts for free, right? And I'm going to be doing some tutorials that you'll be able to have for free within the membership. So definitely check that out. It's only $5 a month, and you can always stop it, right, and come back. You can always, like, there's no strings or attachments. Like, you can sign up, you can leave, come back, whatever. There's no what am I trying to say? You know how, like, sometimes, like, when you have to, like, end a subscription or something, sometimes there's like penalty fees. There's nothing like that. If you don't know about Patreon, definitely check Patreon out, because it's really good. And it's actually really good for people creating things too. So, like, you might be that client that I might be helping you create this. So just saying, So that's all that I have here. You can find me on LinkedIn, where you're maybe watching, maybe not, I don't know. YouTube, I'm going to be putting a lot more content out there on YouTube, and Instagram. I'm there. I'm here for it. You can definitely find me. And that's pretty much all I have to say. I don't know if anybody else wants to share, talk, ask any questions. But if not, I'm going to get up on out of here. It's been a pleasure sharing this information with you. I really, truly hope that I was able to connect with you and just be able to help you go through the steps, right? And if you haven't already, please download the free guide because that already helps you right then and there, talks about the steps of transitioning and stepping into that, figuring out that special offer. So then you can, in turn, create sustainability within your startup and transition out of corporate. Transition out of that whack job that you just do not like. Okay? So I'm going to leave it right there. Thank you so much again for watching and joining. I appreciate you. I'm only a DM or comment away. I love to read the comments. You can always message me on LinkedIn or on Instagram and comment in my YouTube. Thank you again, replayers. I'm just going to say that for you all, shouting you all out. And I hope you have a great Friday or whenever you're watching this. And hope to connect with you. All right. Till next time, y'all. I'm outie. Peace.